So, I know we've got to travel, like, across the universe. Which one of these ships are we gonna go in?
You have a ship?
I think we should get the big one that's got a racing stripe.
Well, does the racing stripe make it go faster, or is it going slow because it's so big? Because I'm looking over there at the small one.
No, the racing stripe makes it go faster.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like
Everybody
if it's
knows
like
that.
got a slick paint job and a racing stripe, it goes faster no matter
Everybody
the size.
knows that.
It statistically goes faster, or is that just, like, feeling?
Ask Speed Racer. Ask Kirby.
Yeah?
Ask everybody in NASCAR.
Well, let's just work it out.
I forgot that, like, we did it as us. And I got really blown off by that.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Lore Dive of the Backwater Bastards in space.
Oops.
In chips.
In shapes. That's both.
A ship can be a shape.
I'm wrangling this show, and with me as ever is Daniel, aka Dr. Z, the psychic jellyfish.
Oh, hello, and I'm looking forward to learning all about ships.
And of course, we've also got Taylor, aka Cleo, the explosives expert bear.
Vroom vroom. And in the driver's seat,
In the cockpit, leading us through this murky world of ancient spacefaring vehicles, it is the freighter,
the vessel,
the yacht,
the boat,
the schooner,
the vehicle.
and the steamship. DM Dynamite.
DM Dynamite.
Thank you, guys.
That's a bit
You
different this
are
time. Usually
welcome.
they're like feelings or
Stinky.
It's strange when you use a noun, I think.
yeah, that's the thing I was looking for.
Well, we learned that today. at least.
we're learning. We're
word
learning as we
noun.
I
go.
haven't even gotten into it, and we've already learned. Look at this.
Anyway, the main thing we're here to learn about and talk about and just delve a little deeper into is, of course, starships.
It's one of my favorite things
It's
to
a
draw.
big part. It's such a big part of our Backwater Bastards story, of the orbital refuse system. I think it's something that we gloss over a lot because often they are simply somewhere to live, somewhere to hang out, a mode of transport from place to place. But ships are as big as characters in this thing. And I think it's time for us to dedicate an entire lore dive to the starships.
We're about to let our loose lips sink ships.
Oh, so we go all the way from your tiny one person pods and fighters all the way
I
up
just
to
think they're
giant, almost town-sized ships that have their entire economy and infrastructure within them,
Indeed.
and everything in between. So let's just get at it, hey?
Let's.
Okay, so I just want to say this first bit.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for ships, I wouldn't even know Dan. And then I
This
wouldn't know
is true.
Dick either.
We actually no, we are joined together by spaceships.
We are.
Fictional spaceships brought us together.
The friend ship
Friend
is real.
Oh, isn't that lovely? We've all
Isn't that
been
real?
on this friend ship.
Should we all get a spaceship tattoo?
Maybe actually.
Probably. Actually, I'm not. I don't want to.
Maybe we need an iconic little spaceship design that we can be like, that's the one.
Yeah.
You're
but-
gonna draw it, Dick.
Yeah, you're gonna draw it.
Yeah.
Well, I could draw the first draft, but
Dick's like, I don't want to get that on my body. Okay? I'm like the whole temple thing, like,
Yeah.
But that's real and I feel like that's kind of a cool thing to talk about because like you drew real spaceships.
Yes, I got a job working at CCP with Taylor's husband, and then it was through that, and then
That's how we
added some
met.
alcohol and some sofas
There was alcohol
because we
there
were sitting on sofas drinking. There's nothing more crazy to that. I don't know why I said that, but yeah,
in a spaceship. In a spaceship.
and then it's led to here.
And when I met Dan, I was like, "What's your favorite thing?" And he was like, "Spaceships." And I was like, "Whoa, that's
Yeah.
next."
I mean, why did we ever play Dungeons and Dragons? Like, we were destined to do spaceships.
Yes.
Well, we wanted to do this, but we didn't know how to get up here, and now we're in space and we can do it.
Yeah, we had to play around in the
And so can
fantasy
you.
setting just to figure out how to build a spaceship in the first place.
So anyway, I'm really curious about. We've been playing this campaign
Yeah.
for quite a while now, and you guys have been interacting with these ships. What do we know so far?
Not a lot.
I mean, just that's the thing.
Just kidding.
I kind of take everything for granted because as when we play, I'm like, bam, I'm Z. I'm Dr. Z now. I'm walking around and I know it's like I don't look at the TV and go, how's this work? I just go, bang, it's a TV. So I'm looking at Reese. I'm looking at the ship controls.
If this was like the dystopian future and we had to make a TV right now, you wouldn't be able to do it.
No, would not be able to do it. No.
And that's kind of where we're at with ships. And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting over here like, what even fuels ships?
Yeah.
In orbital refuse. I think we've had this conversation a few times, but
yeah, because we haven't actually refueled the ship yet.
no, we haven't. We've never been to a gas
Been
station.
to a gas station, which we should. We would love that.
We would love it.
I love going to like the metro services on the motorway.
getting
You
a
pull
snack?
over and get the snack. You get your drink. You get a few Powerades, and it's like, yeah, look at this.
Okay, so for starters, ships and any sort of large devices that have to sort of keep going away from the cities and stuff, they always have batteries. They've got big ass batteries.
Okay.
And those batteries are either, if you're on like a small ship that just leaves from a station and comes back, or leaves from a larger command ship and comes back, that's all they have is those batteries.
How big is a small battery? Is it like person size for a small ship, or what's this? I'm trying to visualize what the battery room might look like.
It's like person size. It's a big ass battery, and it's the amount of power, amount of energy that is being stored in there is like insane. Like it's it's enough to get really fast, enough to like go all the way around a planet, in one trip.
It's not like the that Ewok movie where they have to go and find that little battery cylinder power cell to power up the entire ship for them to leave.
Oh no, it's not something that you carry on your own.
No,
It's definitely like a two people doing it, or maybe Cleo has it on her back and can't do much else.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Okay, so it's hefty.
That's your smaller ships, but then or even small ships, you can have ships that have long range vessels, basically that have an onboard energy generator, and that's most of the ships that we've dealt with have that sort of capability. So I think in the Bastards arsenal, aside from Z's fishbowl, all the rest of them have one of these onboard power generators. And these energy generators, they're fed with star sand.
Ah, that cheeky star sand coming back in again. Can't get around it. It's the life stream of the universe.
So basically, if you've got like a small ship that's, say you've just got like a little cruiser that you just fly around on this one planet, on this one station, you just go to a recharge center, and that thing does all it for you and just charges your batteries.
Oh, nice.
Same thing, like Z can just recharge from within the Grey Dragon just by docking in.
Nice.
But the Grey Dragon itself does every now and then, and we've never done it in character.
I want to do it now.
Now all I can think about is how bad I want to do this.
It needs to go and refuel, and it needs to get filled back up. It's got a big old canister that needs to be filled up with
I'm calling it right now. We're going to have an episode just about going to a gas station, and it's going to be an absolute shit show.
I mean, Borigin may need to wait because we need to do this episode.
We need to go to a gas station.
You guys, could have to go to a gas station like on your way back home.
Is that the treat? Because Borigin's going to hurt us.
It's going to hurt, and it's going to be really. He's going to wear his turtleneck.
When it's over, we get a treat.
We get a treat.
Like a big gas station, right? Like it's a space station that's also a gas
one
station.
One of those special gas stations where you go inside and there's like these places where you like...
Well, you're on the motorway.
Yeah, that's the one I want. The motorway gas station. Yeah, where it's got like the
With
fast
the best
food
snacks.
places, and it's got like...
there's fucking... There's like there's a Burger King.
Yeah.
It's
And
kind of
trucker
shit. And there's like
showers. Trucker showers.
Yeah.
We're not going to go there.
Well, maybe
but
we
it's just
do.
kind of cool that they exist.
Yeah.
No,
Maybe,
we are not going to.
Maybe
we're not
Z
gonna
pops
do that.
in just to see what it's like.
Nope. Nope. That's how you get taken.
But I think
ships can like increase their batteries, but basically if you want to be traveling like between stars from star to star, then you need to have one of these energy generators because the battery life isn't going to be long enough.
Because like lately we haven't really been going far away.
Yeah. And we've just been doing like from planet to station type trips. Yeah. Wow.
I didn't even think of that. I can't believe this whole time we could have been going to gas stations.
I know. Now that we've said it, I cannot get it out of my head. I want to go to a gas station.
Guess what the show's about now?
I mean, I'd actually love that.
Yeah, I kind of wish we'd been doing it all along, to be honest.
Well, retconning.
If I was being a bit more strict, I would have been like, okay, you're running low on fuel.
Well, it's a good way to get rid of our cash as well, like giving us a cash sink, because currently we're walking around too flush.
You guys gave a whole lot of it to Trevor to
10 grand.
gamble. Yeah, that's like
which he
serious
owes.
chunk of your cash. It's like a fifth of your entire fucking money, I think.
I do like the end of the last episode. All right then, closing the door now, Trevor. Do owe us 10 grand though. Bye-bye.
That's very funny. All right, back into this episode.
Okay, so if it is run by Star Sand, if we found ourselves out in the middle of nowhere, drifting, we've just been hit as we came out of the wall, could we go and unload our wallets into the back of the engine?
Yes, but
basically,
like these starships, that when you go to the gas station or you go to the refuel point, what you're getting is processed star sand that has been specifically, it's been processed to flow through your energy generator and work well. If you use unprocessed, unfiltered star sand, who knows what it's going to do? So it will definitely get you going.
So it's been refined.
Yeah, it's been refined.
Are you saying it's going to work like NOS?
Whoa.
I'm saying it's going to be less reliable in terms of you don't quite know what it's going to do. You definitely want to have someone like Boris consulting on how you should do that sort of thing. If you were to just do it, you could blow your ship up potentially.
So how would we store that kind of volatile bang material?
I mean, bearing in mind, you guys literally do have a whole lot of unrefined star sand that you got.
Yeah.
Do we still have that?
Yeah. We still have it. It's just back at base.
Oh, no.
But I guess that does raise another question about these interplanetary vessels. They're obviously designed for people to actually stay on long term. So they do have bathroom facilities, sleeping facilities, food, kitchen facilities, that sort of thing. We've dealt with that a little bit on the Grey Dragon. But it is very common to just have some sort of basic common room with a food replicator rather than having sort of full-on kitchens and facilities and so on, because like a lot of these ships aren't big enough to be storing months worth of rations or anything on. It's makes no sense when you can just be converting the energy directly into food.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, it's some of my favorite places on the ship is the cafeteria and the bathrooms.
Oh, big same. My favorite places on the ship are just like where other people are trying to be by themselves.
Do you know what's fucking terrifying? Maybe a bit of a derail. Chuck it in the sidearm if it is, but like...
Airplane bathroom?
No, have you seen there are still 3 astronauts stuck on the International Space Station? And they had to evacuate 4 of them. There's 2 Russians and American left waiting for a Russian spaceship that's had to move its launch window forward by a month. And hopefully the ship won't fucking erupt as it fires off because they're having to rush everything.
Get now.
Because the International Space Station was hit by a micro-asteroid. It's now the whole station's heating up. And it's overheating. So you've got 3 people who had to stay behind while 4 others got in an escape. So the escape pod was there.
Yeah.
But it could only fit 4 of the 7. So
that's some Titanic shit right there.
How do you pick who gets to go?
So the 2 Russians and 1 American stayed behind. And they're now on a spaceship that has been breached, is heating up, and they have to wait a month for a potential rescue. It's not even a guaranteed rescue.
And you thought your job was hard.
Jesus. I mean, can you imagine the claustrophobia of sitting in? Because also the International Space Station, it's not a roomy, spacey thing. Like every bit of wall is covered with something important.
Yeah.
And so when we see sci-fi pictures of spaceships, I could get on board with that. Windows, big open spaces.
Yeah, that's not what this is.
That is not what this is.
This is like when you go to a McDonald's and they have the play place and it's just tubes.
But also, it's getting hot in there as well. They can't just cool it down.
And when you poop, you have to do it in your own pants into a pipe.
It must be the brain fortitude to be able to sit there for another month every day with 2 other people just go, we are definitely dying up here. And we're going to die in horrible, boiling ways unless that ship gets to us.
I mean, I guess you just look at your chances and
What?
But still, I'm just saying.
If it's Dickie, if once you realize you're going to die, be like, I'm taking this into my own hands. I'm not going to die in the horrible way.
But I mean, also, if you know that the ship has been breached, because that's an even worse way to die. If you're out in space, they say it's going to take 2 minutes, and it's the most excruciating thing ever because the vacuum causes your blood to boil from the inside. All your organs and stuff try to get their way out of your orifices, including pores. So you have everything that's on the inside of you trying to leave through the holes in your body.
But you didn't know you were going to get all this information.
Well, I don't know if I'll keep this in this episode.
Your body's just going to rip
apart.
apart.
It's about ships.
But it's just terrifying. And I'm just, every day, and when my brain goes quiet, I'm like, well, you're not stuck on the International Space Station for a month, waiting.
I feel like this is this adds some really big perspective to this because it's that's what spaceships are doing right now.
Yeah. And
I mean, we have spaceship easy mode in OR, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, these will be, they'll look back on this in history and go, can you imagine that there was no space to just rest your hand while taking a piss? You can't do that. you'd
Yeah.
touch something.
Yeah. They're just they're like doing all those little floats.
Yeah. Oh my god! And it's just heating
You've seen
up.
all those videos of people like putting some water into the air so they can go like flip around and eat it from the air, and it's like, oh, it's so fun.
But it's just so
it's
terrifying
like-
that the ship itself
the
is
first
just
time for the first day, it's fun.
getting
Yeah.
hotter and hotter and hotter, and it's like, I hope it doesn't get hotter than this.
Look, spaceships are kind of exciting. That's why we're all here, right? We're here because of spaceships, and like, how can you not be super jazzed about spaceships right now, like the time that we live in? But spaceships and OR, baby, we've taken it to another level. I mean, what about the kind of like different kind of spaceships for different biomes? I mean, like we've had a little bit of that, right? Like we've had the amphibious pirate ship from Z-Day, the M8 and Zafrey Elektra stole.
Yeah, it doesn't have any landing gear because it's designed to land in the water.
In the water.
So freaking cool.
Like a seaplane.
Yeah, and seaplanes are cool.
Seaplanes are so cool. Why did it have to be snakes?
I love it.
That's the only
It's just
seaplane I can
like-
think of.
I just wonder if we're ever going to get to that point.
Yeah, different biomes, different ships influencing the design choices behind them.
Well, what do you think like a ship, that's landing in Dias is like, It's like a...
Rugged and armored
Oh.
for that sand. Try and keep the sand out. Maybe, like puffer jackets? Maybe it would have like some of that around the outside, like lots of puffer jacket style material that stops the sand
And
from
like
getting
insulation as well,
Yeah.
because it's like, it's hot and dry.
in. Yeah.
That's true. But like, do you think that like mentioning this, that there are different ship types for different biomes, do you think that there are places that we could fly Reese where Reese wouldn't be able to land?
Well, I mean, immediately I'm thinking of like this water planet.
Yeah.
What would we do?
You'd have to find, you'd have to get some sort of raft or something to land on.
But if you're like vacuum sealed for space, then surely you could just land in the water and just like float around. Like
I
you
mean,
wouldn't-
Futurama already covered this,
Yeah.
the vacuum pulls outwards.
Yeah.
The sea crushes inwards.
I don't know if I know this episode.
Oh,
There's an episode of Futurama when they go underwater and he's like,
Yeah.
Farnsworth is like, you fools! The ship's, it's not protected for this.
I remember
Oh.
that.
I base a lot of my science on Futurama.
Well,
Okay,
now
but Futurama
Zoidberg is
had
the
some good
popular one.
answers.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Look who else is doing that.
yeah, exactly.
Dr. Z, Dr. Zoidberg.
Yeah, maybe you made the connection.
Shit. So then I'm Leela.
Yeah, you're Leela.
It's like if you're not the Leela, then you might be the Fry.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Mm. And I
Okay,
guess
next.
Herodotus was Zach Brannigan.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Or Amy's dad. Wasn't Amy's dad like a fancy dude?
He was a fancy dude.
Yeah, from Mars.
Yes.
But maybe that makes Amy Boris.
Oh my god. What?
And-
Okay.
Who's Bender?
Shit.
Hmm,
Who
that's
is
a good
Bender?
question. I don't know. I think actually like Cleo might be Bender.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I am Bender.
Maybe you're a
Because
little
Bender
Bender.
is the sort of the criminal one who sort of like likes the sort of the pleasures of the of
Yeah.
the little things that he likes.
I feel like in my case, I'm what happened in The Expanse, where they took like 4 characters from the book and combined them together to make Kamina Drummer.
that would make sense.
That's what happened. Because I'm not as nasty as Bender, I think. Like, I'm friendlier.
Yeah.
But I mean, speaking of all our characters and stuff,
Yeah.
we get Trevor to do the flying a lot because he has the piloting advantage, which
Right.
neither of you guys do.
No.
That doesn't mean you can't fly these ships. I mean, if you think like the modern world, like any old fool could maybe possibly drive a car, especially like an automatic car.
Okay. That's very.
But imagine that car was even easier. It's just like a Dodgem, like a little bumper car or whatever.
Okay.
I
can do that.
At the town fair or at a, one of those, what the places with roller coasters called?
A theme park?
A theme park.
Okay.
I was like, what?
Did it.
Because that's about how easy.
You leave that
That's
in.
about how easy modern ships in the OR universe are to fly at a basic level. You can fly them like any old kid idiot can jump in and fly them sufficiently.
I feel like Trevor
And you
is
gu-
out
you
there
guys have
somewhere
at
like,
least kind
okay.
Yeah.
You guys have at least kind of got your driver's licenses.
Really?
Whereas Trevor is an expert. He
Oh my
can do
God.
the fancy stuff.
Yeah, he did the
Oh.
extra courses.
I mean, I don't know that Cleo literally has a piece of paper that says she has a driver's license, but she's
she's driven like a shitty hauler tractor.
She's practiced enough to be able to do
Cleo has driven like a trash mobile.
So then I guess that makes me think, like, we're crossing all these ships all the time. Is there kind of a universally accepted layout for these controls and the UI and everything from all these different manufacturers that are making it easy for us to all just jump in and kind of understand what's going on?
I would say no.
Yeah, no. I mean, sort of. Like, in the Terran systems, there is.
Okay.
Like, they have literally standardized things to be like, this is how it works.
Right.
Everyone that's going to manufacture these things, you're going to do it like this. It doesn't mean that you can't find ships that exist outside of that, but generally speaking, they are going to like have that basic setup of here's a chair that a humanoid person could sit in, a control stick and a steering wheel, and this is where you control it from.
Yeah.
Because what about you, Z? You wouldn't drive a spaceship like that.
Well, no, exactly. I was just thinking, like, with the mechanical body, but with
you can do it, but it's not the most efficient way. Like, it'd be so much easier if you had controls that you yourself could operate.
Yes, which I imagine the aquatic ships that we have back on the Atolla would be probably unusable for someone with physical hands rather than
and
a
it's
mental
actually
control.
the same story. Like, obviously, ships from the synthetic army. The synthetic army they don't have ships with controls. You just plug your body into the ship that is designed for your class of chassis.
Right. Yeah.
And then you just drive it with your brain.
And in that kind of way. So I'm just thinking about a synth ship. With a human Terran ship, you're going to need like the cockpit or like at least some heads-up display things. With a synth ship, you probably don't need that main bridge that looks out over everything because they can understand the electronic wirings of the entire ship once docked in. So would maybe the interior of a synth ship just be lots of docking bays lining the entire inside, and the pilot
so everyone can sit somewhere and see what's going on.
Yeah, the pilot could be standing anywhere. It's not about where you are in the ship. It's about...
So, say the front of the ship does get taken out. Like, someone else can just start piloting.
Exactly. Like,
that is pretty cool.
It's quite interesting because the, with like Terran sensibilities, it's probably also like a thing that helps your mind feel at ease if you can see out a window type thing, and or at least see out a screen that's projecting what's on the other side of that screen. Whereas a synth ship or maybe even an Atolla ship, the person who's in charge has complete feeling of what the ship is doing. So you could do different things with a bridge or a
very
cockpit.
Different design philosophy. And of course, like an organic coming onto one of these ships, they're just not going to be able to pilot it without some serious hacking. Like, obviously you can still hack into it and pilot it, but you're not going to pilot it well. It's going to be hard.
And then much like the gait of someone walking, I think synths would be able to tell, like, someone organic is flying that synth ship. That's not how a synth ship flies.
Although I like the idea that there might be like, the special piece of hacker hardware. It's like just a steering wheel that you can
that's cool.
Plug it into the dock and it just converts it.
You know what? I imagine
that
it's got like a shitty little screen.
I reckon Rads and Boris probably know someone who makes stuff like that.
It's kind of like
it must
hot
exist.
wiring.
Like, if you want to steal one of those ships and you're not a synth, like, you need
that's
to
such a cool idea. Keep that one in the bank.
I feel like we're gonna need that.
That's a different type of wank bank, everyone. That's the bank.
Yep.
Okay, said it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, obviously we've got a very varied group of species. I mean, more varied than we've even seen in this galaxy. And therefore, like, ships to accommodate different people's bodies obviously exist.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, if you're living like sort of a small place that is generally 6 foot tall biped dominated, you're just going to have to ride in the back. You just can't fly it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. I mean, you remember, like, you met Parter, and Parter sort of couldn't go into half the buildings.
Right. Yeah.
And that was just the way it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's cool.
I'm here for it.
I guess we've talked about the Terran ships and the sort of the general ships that you'll find around midspace and so on. We talked about the synth ships. We should probably talk a little bit about the Wraiths, because the Wraiths, if we go back historically thousands of years, the Wraiths were the ones who, in this particular pocket of the universe, in this galaxy, they're the ones who invented interstellar travel. They're the ones who found the star
those
sand
jammy
and
bastards.
created the warp engines and developed the technology which all of this is based on.
How did we get it?
Yeah. Okay. Very impressive.
But they also have sort of stagnated technologically. So their ships are actually archaic compared to everyone else's. Although they are the ones who came up with it all, they're very proud of those initial designs. They're very traditionalist.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they were, if you go back thousands of years, technologically advanced. They were the aliens that found humanity, that found all these other species and sort of created this semi-unified galaxy of people that have like trade hubs and all this. But they're proud, they're traditional, they don't need to adapt and change their technologies because their bodies are what adapts and changes.
Well, why reinvent what isn't broke?
Exactly.
The ships
so
are working.
Their ships still they get from A to B just as fast because warp engines, you've got faster than light travel anyway.
Right. So there's like a plateau on
weapons, speed. Yeah, they've got the weapons and armor and everything needed, but they don't necessarily have the modern amenities, the fancy things that a more modern ship can do. They are these different archaic kind of things. And they also utilize earlier forms of these technologies. So they've got a lot of things that are sort of biomechanical, like utilizing things from, because the planet that they're from and the areas around have very different kinds of biological life.
Mm-hmm.
Like even things that aren't the wraiths themselves still have these kind of microevolution tendencies.
So, like you mentioned batteries earlier with, and I imagine a battery is similar for Terrans and for synths, but for wraiths, is it a tree-like system as well? That is less tech and more bio?
The wraiths, their traditional technology, if you were to go really full on when they first traveled the galaxy and found humanity and so on, they were you pour the star sand in, that star sand turns into energy and that gets you places. Yeah. They weren't big on batteries. They had sort of energy conversion things, but they didn't have these big batteries that could store a lot of charge. Mm-hmm. I mean, since they have had to take on things like their blaster weapons and their energy blades and so on, have to have batteries in them now just to be able to. Because you can imagine like a musket versus like a semi-automatic rifle or something.
Yeah,
you need to take on some of these technological advancements just to stay in the game. So they do have batteries, and they've had to buy them.
Yeah, so it's just some of the blending of different people's technologies, like influencing each other there in that sense then.
Yeah, for sure. So they will often have like these little chunks of conversion, like things like a battery that they've just like wired in.
Yeah. That
will just be this chrome sort of box that looks out of place. It is very Terran or synth in its design.
Okay.
Just to convert this ship to be able to, be on a level playing field.
Oh, awesome. And so if Trevor were to walk onto a wraith ship and try and pilot that. We've already seen that on a synth ship, they're going to need to plug in and hack some way. On an Atolla ship, you're going to need to use your mind. But on a Wraith ship, how would someone like Trevor go about piloting that ship?
So the Wraith ship is kind of like taking a step back in time to like this big, crazy old rickety machine. You've got to change the gears manually. You've got to like flick all the little switches. You've got to know what you're doing. So someone like Trevor, who is a talented pilot who has actually spent time in Wraith space being someone who can actually navigate the wall. I mean, he's taken these things for a spin just out of curiosity. He'd be able to do it, but he might not necessarily be able to do it with his usual flair.
Yes.
I think it's the sort of thing you'd have to be acclimatized to. You'd basically have to have grown up with it or spend a lot of time with it. Like if you guys stole a Wraith ship and Trevor used it for a couple of years, I think he'd be fine.
Okay.
And I think the average person who wasn't necessarily like an enthusiast might get into this thing and be like, I can't fly this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they probably could, just not very well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Follows the same principles. They kind of developed the initial design that everyone else's is based on.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're talking about the difference between, factional ships and ships for different kinds of individuals. I mean, is there a hierarchy of ship types at all in OR? Like, are there classes? Like,
this is the shit I love.
We say some of these words, like we say frigate sometimes, and
I mean, there's nothing cooler than seeing that big saga, like epic sci-fi saga vista of, big ships, battleships coming in, the support craft, then all the fighters come out, kind of like a Battlestar Galactica style. I mean, I love this type of shit.
So the way I've broken it up in the rule set, if you're going to buy a ship from scratch, the ships are broken down into, so there's 4 different sizes and 3 different classes.
Mm-hmm.
So the ships go from a pod to small to medium to large, which is pretty straightforward. So a pod is a little one-person ship. It carries one person and can be fitted with one weapon.
Ooh.
A small ship can actually carry 6 people, as standard at least, and be fitted with 2 separate cannons.
Nice.
A medium ship can carry 18 people and can be fitted with 6 weapons. And a large ship will carry 30 people, conveniently, people living on this ship.
Okay.
And have 10 weapons.
Dang.
Nice.
And then those can be sort of modified so you can have a transport ship, for example, of any of those sizes. Basically, that if you add that class, that just doubles the number of people that can live and travel on that ship.
Oh, nice.
So like a large transport, 60 people can live there full time.
Yeah.
You can travel, from one end of the galaxy to the other, and that many people will be able to comfortably live there.
But of course, you're going to use that stat on the pod and increase its carrying capacity to 2 people.
Well, a transport pod, I don't think really exists.
Probably does
It would
not.
just be like a van, really.
Yeah.
Like these, I think the pod doesn't really need to fit into the class section. It's just like a little ship that you can fit with what you want.
Yeah.
Then you've got a command ship, and that actually adds to passengers that can fit as well. It adds a third of passengers carried, but you can also dock small ships or pods on it.
Okay.
And that's even if it is a small command ship, you can actually still dock 2 other small ships on it.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that.
The Grey Dragon is actually a medium command ship as far as its stats go, by the way.
Oh, there we go.
We're big.
Squirrel that away for later.
Yeah, really. It's like, what's that again? Knew that. Medium command ship, you say? Sounds
And
good.
then a combat ship, scratch that, you get just the number of passengers and stated on the docket, and you can't dock smaller ships on there, but you can double the amount of max weapons you can have.
Oh, there we go. Double
so
the hurt.
a large warship can have 20 separate gunners going on there.
Okay. And so those are the types of ships. Do you have any thoughts on the types of modules that could go on board these ships?
We need to
Well,
upgrade.
I guess we've talked about some of them. So there's the onboard energy generator, which is all about giving you that long-range travel ability. It's about being able to travel the galaxy and explore and be that sort of that central command ship where smaller ships can refuel and leave from.
Okay, nice. Yeah, like that's your... So if the ship is going to be a main part of your campaign, then you probably want an onboard generator for your crew.
And then in addition to that, what is, pretty necessary for the kind of stories we've been telling at least, but you could tell something that's a little closer to home where you just travel within one star system.
Yeah.
But you want a warp engine.
Oh,
and a warp engine, this is the thing that use that star sand to lob you through a wormhole and get you in a much quicker speed. It's sort of beyond the speed of light. So going through a wormhole, it bends space in such a way that you are traveling faster than the speed of light, and that allows that travel between stars.
Heck. Yeah, so I can definitely see how that is a useful one for your main campaign ship.
For sure. And it's pretty standard. Like anyone that is a traveler, a pirate, a trader, they're going to have an energy generator and a warp engine.
Yeah.
Because you just need it. Another thing that you really don't want to be messing with not having is a shield generator.
Oh, I love shield
why.
generators.
Because, sure, like you get shot in the real world, maybe you die, maybe you don't, but you can heal up. But if your ship gets shot in a particularly bad way, everybody on board just dies instantly. So your energy shields, they've got really big, powerful ones that can be constantly being recharged at will.
Yeah.
Using these big batteries that you've got there. Another thing that larger ships can have is a shield projector, much like what Z has, where you can protect your smaller ships.
I love that. That's so cool. That makes it feel like, you can protect other little ships.
So you have like a command ship that comes out, and then you've got these smaller fighter pods come out, and then you can protect them with your bigger shields.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
There's cannons, which you can install on these ships. They, generally comes as standard that you're going to have a cannon or two, but a lot of like just transport ships or just friendly mercantile ships might not actually have any cannons, but they might just decide that they're going to flee from any time they get into a fight, which is, a fair enough philosophy. You can buy basic cannons, you can buy shield-piercing cannons. A lot of this equipment is similar to what you would buy for an individual character, but scaled up.
That's
they do
awesome.
more damage.
Yeah.
They cost a lot more money.
I feel like we need
So
to
as
go
such,
shopping.
you can also you can get armor,
He's shopping again.
and you can get a stealth generator, which allows you to vanish from visuals and scans.
And I know it's only just been invented by old Boris, but will people in mid-space be able to one day buy the butter knife module?
I think that's, if Boris decides to mass produce or if someone just steals the idea, if someone manages to reverse engineer the process.
Yeah.
I mean, why on earth not?
Okay.
I feel like that's sort of like an expansion module kind of thing, isn't it? Like,
yeah. No, I love it. I mean, that's definitely something I would take. If this was the video game and I had my little module slots, I would be like...
It turns your ship into like a Malay ship.
Yeah. I
Which
imagine
is
it would be one of
bonkers.
those things where it's like, if it were a video game, it'd be like, you can have the shields or the butter knife. It's on the same, like, tech tree.
Oh, yeah, it's on the same switch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so cool.
And as well, there is a myriad of other technologies and things that can be installed on a ship that aren't necessarily there in my my initial like starter gear setup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way the galaxy's going, if you can imagine it, and it's not absolutely bonkers, like why not? Why could that not be on a ship?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why the heck not?
And I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what we might eventually do to the Grey Dragon.
Reese is like, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because Reese, to me, is another member of the party. Obviously, they have their personality and they are so cool. And so, it's definitely Reese is a ship, but Reese is another member of like a living member of the team. And so it makes me think, are there ships out there that are alive? Some living ships?
Well, we kind of met one in its infant stage, didn't we?
Who was that?
Kinda.
seed.
The seed,
The
baby.
seed. Yeah.
So, I mean, the short answer is yes. There is legitimately an entire species of these plant-like ships that are sort of kind of just a legend as far as anyone you've ever met has seen, but you guys have actually encountered it.
We've seen it.
And you don't know a lot about it. Boris might know a little more,
Okay.
but they are like these fully organic, and they're not necessarily ships. It's more that they're psychic and they can sense the ideas and concepts of other living things and build their bodies into shapes that are useful and familiar.
That's awesome.
So the reason they form into ships is actually just from contact with people that use them,
Mm-hmm.
because they're capable of that. And in younger stages, they can become other things. They can become weapons. They can become smaller transports and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Biomechanical armor, even perhaps.
Oh, heck. I mean, I am nervous about whenever the seed comes back into play, but it's such a cool and interesting concept.
But yeah, organic living ships, very much a thing. And I feel like we might come across other kinds as well.
Well, I've just
As
had a
we
memory
explore.
pop back into my head of I know it's from a different DM, but I think Lucas introduced a ship that was living
Yeah.
that took us on a journey to do a quest.
And it was sort of like being on the inside of a whale.
Yeah, it was like a space whale.
Yeah.
So probably
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yeah.
ship, but we got to use it like a ship. It was a living whale type thing.
Oh my God, that felt like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, any living creature that does technically double as a ship,
Mhm.
I mean, we could call it a living ship, even if it's probably doesn't self-identify as one.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit cruel to lump them in as just being that. They are a thing, but
Okay. And so I need to know the seed, if the seed were to grow up and chose to kind of change its shape to have us live on it, would that be like the ship from Farscape? Would it be the similar kind of interactions and whatnot? Or is it quite different?
that's a good question. I mean, a Farscape ship is cool.
It's
isn't
so cool.
it? I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think from what we've done with the seed, I think they are, these strange, lonely creatures that are just going to grow to be who they're going to grow to be based on what they encounter.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then I do have one more question about the sentience of these spaceships, be it Reese or be it a space whale or some type of seed type ship. When flying into combat and doing these, dangerous bits, what stops the ship from just overriding everything and fleeing? The first thing that pops into my mind is like a warhorse of some kind charging into battle with, hopefully a person on top of them that they trust. And is that what it comes down to? Just trust between ship and occupants?
Well, with a truly living ship, that's what it would have to come down to.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
With an AI like Reese has prime directives that involve being a ship.
Yeah.
And therefore, flying into danger is just simply part of that. Reese might, have fears around that, but ultimately, Reese has no desire to deny his own purpose.
Okay,
I
yep.
guess. And that's the big difference between having like this Terran-made AI controlling a ship and having a synth that was a ship. Because again, you could have a synth that just was an entire ship.
Yeah.
And that would be a different case because they would have been built with their own self-determination, with their own ability to make any decision they want. And Reese actually doesn't have that.
Okay.
And isn't even capable of wanting that or capable of developing that. Which is making me sad the more I think about it. But
Are we like, okay, but can I just tell you, like, I feel like we're saying that, but what if in my heart, like, I just believe that he's real?
I
he's a
know.
real boy. Well, he is. He's a real boy. I mean,
And then
I
one
think,
day, like, what if magic happens and he
I think in terms of like the level of AI, the level of learning, the level of emotion and so on, Reese is, a sentient being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But central to that AI's existence is being the controls of a ship and therefore automatically trusting in this is what we're doing. We live or die, but we're doing it together.
Yeah.
They are, like just unquestionably loyal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jesus.
Love you, Reese.
Reese. The beast.
Boost.
But like, how does ship combat actually work?
How do ship fight?
How do
How
ship
do
fight?
ship fight?
So ships fight the same way as you guys fight, basically.
So
Really
they run
good.
away or they use their mind powers to do cool things like backflips?
Well, they do whatever it is they can do based on what's been installed upon them.
Okay, so no backflips.
So, as standard, a pod has 1 energy, a small ship has 2 energy, a medium ship has 6 energy, and a large ship has 10 energy.
Okay.
And they use that energy exactly the same way you would.
Yeah.
So they can use 1 energy, for example, to do an attack from each weapon that they have installed. They can use 1 energy to move their speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They can also do things like they can use an energy to regenerate a portion of their shield from the shield generator. They can also use 2 energy to use shield projections. They can use 2 energy per round to go into stealth. There's a whole list of how much energy each thing costs.
Yeah.
But essentially, these ships have their own energy to use, and you can also get extended batteries to draw additional energy.
Ooh.
Damn. So you're just
But
getting
that energy is replenishing each round the same way as it would with a character. So you can perform a series of actions. You can save some of that energy to use in response to other ships' attacks.
And is this only accessible while, say, someone is in the gun turret? Is that turret only usable if someone's operating it?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless it has some sort of advanced combat AI controlling it.
Like a dilbert.
That's within the realms of things you can set up as well.
Okay.
But if we were to talk about the Grey Dragon, it just has 2 cannons installed in it, and it needs to have people in them. So those people can make these attacks, and then they can use their energy to do other things as well. Like they could make an attack and then be fixing something or so on. But that's within, the ship itself has its own set of energy and its own set of possible things it can do as well. So if you were to look at the Grey Dragon, and we've experienced this a few times, where the Grey Dragon will fly somewhere, it will fire off a shot from each cannon, and then it will fly off somewhere else. And that's only used 4 of its 6 energy. So the Grey Dragon can quite easily perform maneuvers like that.
And being able to do those maneuvers and things, can you rely on the ship AI to do that? Or is that also going to need the pilot in the cockpit to be able to engage in those maneuvers? So like if it was just Cleo and I on the ship, we're both in the gun pods shooting. Is there a way the ship can be flying around as well? Or is it I
mean, in the case of the Grey Dragon, Reese can fly the ship.
Right.
And it is going to be a case-by-case basis when you've got AIs that are equipped with functionality.
Yeah.
But certainly in the case of Reese can fly the ship.
Awesome.
So Reese could legitimately fly the ship's speed. Is just a standardized distance. I haven't given a name to the units yet. Not sure how far it's going to be. 400 meters or something like that.
Yeah.
However many times there is energy left to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So they can go quite far and quite fast.
I'm going to just...
And that does raise the question of a ship versus someone who's not in a ship combat. And that is scary, one-sided stuff.
Well, that doesn't really feel like a great fight to be in.
No. So if you find yourself up against a ship and
Does
you've
not.
just got your weapons,
That's like
you need
fighting a
cover.
bus.
You need to find cover because this thing is just
Well,
infinitely faster and stronger than
does
you.
remind me of when we were trying to break into the One True Leader's base and we managed to take out the anti-aircraft guns, and that's
True.
when Trevor could come in, the hero, and rain down some support. And so we've benefited from this rule a little bit.
We've fought buses before.
We have, you know.
But that's the thing, yeah. Like even a pod has 50 wounds. Other ships have 100 wounds,
That's a lot of wounds.
Yeah.
which is
That's a lot
versus
of
the sort of
wounds.
versus the standard 10 that the average player gets, or the 7 that a Dr. Z would have.
Thank you.
Which means you've got to
Nice
shoot
dig.
at them
I
for a lot
remember
longer
that.
to disable them. And that wounds is basically, that refers to the exterior armor plating. Once you've dealt that much damage, you've broken through and you've basically wrecked this ship. Like how it's wrecked is going to depend on where you've been aiming, and there's going to be a bit of roleplay flavor into what happens. But generally speaking, if you shoot all the way through, this thing, if it's in space, it's going to explode.
Okay,
It's
well,
gone.
Gotta get
It's done.
Dr. Z some more wounds.
yeah, I need more wounds, but okay, now I'm worried. If the ship ever gets destroyed, is there a way
Yeah.
we can save Reese? Can Reese exist on something else, or can Reese only exist on that ship or in a ship?
Yeah,
You're going to
because they're a
need some
black
sort
box.
of black box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a black box can exist.
There's
And,
like a hard drive that we can.
and if so, then why not make ship out of black box?
Oh my God.
Well,
Thank you,
I don't
Seinfeld.
think there's such a thing as an actual black box that will survive, but there could be a thing that you can
Like a chip.
Yeah.
unplug this before we jump in the escape pods
Okay,
because
There's
this
a
ship's
chip.
going down.
There's
a
gotta
chip.
be a
We
chip.
got to be able to have that way to save Reese.
A
Because,
command module,
Yeah. Okay.
as it were,
Okay.
There's
Good.
a
which is like the central portion of your ship. So even if you upgrade your entire body of your ship, you can go and pull out that command module and be like, Reese, this is your new body.
Oh, we could
Oh my
buy
God,
Reese
he
a whole
gets
new
sleeved.
chassis. We could sleeve Reese.
We could sleeve Reese.
Can we sleeve Reese into like into like a
Into a
robot?
guy?
Into like a robot?
Because that's
Yeah.
with AIs, the world is your oyster in terms of where they can go. It's a bit different with synths because synths actually have a synthetic brain and they are sort of built to be a certain body, so they've got to modify themselves.
Yeah.
But an AI, that's just code. You know, you can go and you can plug them into anything that accepts their control scheme.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, you could technically unplug Reese
Reese
from the
forever.
ship and have some sort of adapter to plug them into like a little robot body.
Reese forever.
What if we had another honey boy that was like little and we put Reese in that and just called him Grease?
I love that. Greeble Reese.
But that's essentially space combat. It's just a scaled up version of land combat. Because you can have a big ship with a bunch of people on it all doing things. You've got to have lots of guns. So speaking of Reese, I guess we need to go over the ships that we have encountered in the Backwater Bastards podcast so far.
Who do we know?
I would love to.
So we're going to do that in a second. But first, just let's have a moment from one of our advertisers.
Wow.
So Reese, I feel like we have covered quite a bit.
Reese is a ship that we know.
Reese is the AI that lives inside a Grey Dragon class vintage Terran command ship.
Indeed. And we found Reese in a trash pit,
Yeah, in the center of a trash ball.
which is kind of weird if you think about it.
Yeah, it's very valuable,
Like why
at least to collectors.
was Reese down there? A secret world.
I mean, there's all sorts of stuff there because it's
I feel like we talked about this and I just can't
Yeah.
remember.
it's all the random like detritus and leftovers from countless battles. It's
Yeah.
an entire some of the shattered walls, all sorts of things are just all being condensed down there to build the core of Midspace. Because Midspace needed to be really big, so it needed to have a bunch of stuff in the middle so it wasn't hollow. So they just compressed a bunch of trash. And the fact that Reese was near the outside and not crushed in the center, it was just pure luck.
It's a Christmas miracle. A true Christmas miracle.
So anyway, that's the Grey Dragon. But I guess similarly we had Herodotus's The Plentiful Pantry,
Oh my God, yes, the Plentiful Pantry.
which was a small command ship.
Oh.
That's why it fit in Reese.
Okay.
But it in its
Sort
turn
of.
had an escape pod built into itself as well. So we got a bit of a Russian doll situation of ships.
We do. Did the escape pod have a name?
I don't
We
think
never
so.
talked about it.
It was the Plentiful
What's in
Pantry.
pantry? What's in
Plentiful
pantries?
Pantry was a
Cans.
fancy Terran military ship.
Yeah.
The
So it was
can.
like,
The canned
like a
good.
normal Terran military ship, except it had all the sort of strangeness of its captain.
The canned good. I want that to be my spaceship
Yeah.
name. You're
The
in a-
canned good or
sitting
canned
in a
goods?
tin can.
Canned goods, please report. Canned good, where are you?
So I guess also in the bastard fleet, we've also got the fishbowl, Dr. Z's ship.
fishbowl.
Fishbowl is stolen.
Yeah,
Well,
well, it's a
borrowed.
Terran combat pod.
Yes,
One day
technically.
we might give it back
maybe.
with a treat inside.
So
Surprise.
it's a combat pod. It's a
Oh yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
it's a one person ship that has
Oh.
weapons
well, we
on
fit
it.
a couple people in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not advised, but
you find ways to make it happen,
Yeah.
but it's
It wasn't a good idea,
it was a tight fit.
but we did it.
Yeah.
and again, obviously like these max numbers that fit in a ship. This is how many people can comfortably stay on this ship long term. You can squeeze more in if you need to.
What happened to that ship that we had the honey on?
The train ship that we had all the honey on, those storage vessels.
Yeah.
I think
Did
there
we
was like
give
a
it to
train of cargo containers that we were bringing behind us, right?
Yeah. So it sort of functioned like a transport ship, but it
Okay.
was
But it was not.
and I would consider these trucks, these freight vessels you can strap onto a ship to kind of be more like additional things.
Okay.
Like generally speaking, if you're going to haul freight, you would still have like some sort of small or medium
Yeah.
or even large ship that all the staff that are involved in this hauling mission could live in. So it could potentially just be a small ship with one driver hauling a giant thing of freight.
I do love some
Because
space
ultimately-
trucks.
Yeah, you're weightless in space. Like
Yeah.
you can haul a whole lot. And you might have to do some sort of like some trickery with your warp engine to be able to carry this additional thing with you. But space truckers is an interesting thing. So what else have we encountered? We've encountered the Seed, which we've
The
covered, I
Seed.
suppose.
Yes.
We've talked a little bit about Terran ships, but we've
whole
seen
mess of 'em.
we've seen a
Yeah.
few. We've seen like large battleships where you guys had to sneak through when the time you were imprisoned during the
Yes.
war over Zarg Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a huge ship that had, dozens upon dozens of staff living aboard it.
We've exploded a couple.
We
too.
did. We've taken some out.
And you've seen plenty of just fighter ships as well.
Mhm.
And you've seen the Zarg fighter ships
Yeah.
from when you were fighting back too.
And we've seen quite a few.
And the difference between Terran and Zarg ships is really just cosmetic. They're
Okay.
all within that Terran empire of modern technology.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very similar. We've only encountered one Wraith ship, I believe.
Which one was that?
The party pose.
The
Yes.
party. Oh, a brilliant episode. Oh my.
Mm.
And you immediately encountered different sorts of technology. Like they had the tractor beam that
Yes.
could pull you on board
Mm.
through walls and so on, like that phasing tractor beam.
All to get a
which is
gift.
a sort of technology that you've never seen before.
I might need to go back and listen to that one. That was such a fun one.
That was a good one.
And we have come across that one synth warship,
Mhm.
which was a big, stark, angular kind of thing.
Yeah.
No windows. It's a very different kind of design.
Yeah,
based on
again,
the
makes me
occupants.
think about the that synth kind of design sensibilities. You wouldn't need the windows. You just have big docking stations for the synths and board.
Yeah.
But then again, the synths, they are all these imperfect copies of the one true leader. So they do have artistic souls and these the sense of self-expression and so on. So synth ships, even within what is this sort of homogenized synth army, are quite varied in their design. But ultimately, they fly into the realms of like those blocky geometric type shapes.
That's so fun. I love that.
And those are most of the big ships we've encountered, really.
We've met some brilliant ships along the way.
And we've blown a lot of them up.
Yeah, the not so brilliant ones.
I mean, currently the bastards are traveling on board a stolen ship from
Oh, Boris's uncle.
Boris's uncle,
Ooh. Awkward.
and this is one of the first times that you guys have really come across Terran ships that weren't militarized ones, weren't the Terran military, because that was your in, I guess, through Herodotus.
Yeah, this is a yacht.
This is a private vessel, and it's luxurious, also kind of strange, and it's You know, like it has ears inside it. It's got art on the wall. It's got all these sorts of things that you've not come across in the more utilitarian ships.
It's like a museum.
It belongs in a museum.
Belongs in the museum. I mean, we know a lot of ships because we're pretty well connected.
Yeah.
We're like interesting people
Yeah.
with incredible lives.
Yeah.
But like, I just, as people who enjoy this kind of media, like, what kind of spaceships inspired you to think of all these things? Like, if you were going to take stuff from popular culture, what are your favorite pieces of spaceships?
Tay, I do
out in
need
the
you to
world?
say the music line you did before, though.
Oh, ships on film.
Take a picture.
Ships on film.
There we go.
So,
Thank you.
right, like my biggest influence, I really, really loved in the first couple Star Wars films where there are a lot of scenes of them just hanging out on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And like that notion that this is where Han and Chewie live.
Yeah.
They live on this ship. They might stop somewhere and like refuel and like hang out, and maybe they even sleep in like a proper bed for a bit. But generally speaking, they live in the ship. So that's a really big inspiration to me on how I've envisioned the ships in Orbital Refuse.
Yeah.
It's like having like that sort of that bridge where everyone can sit up the front while you're flying, like not having like a tiny little cockpit where one pilot is in there. The pilot's sitting in there like conversing with everyone else. You're in this one open space together.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's got that real RPG party kind of feel. Like we're all hanging out here as we go somewhere.
Oh, I love that.
It. I mean, it's
So that's a big part of how I imagine the design of every single ship, no matter where
it's
where
Mass
it is,
Effect.
you know?
It's Knights of the Old Republic. It's any good sci-fi RPG game where you know you're on
It was
the ship.
even Star Trek as well.
Like
Like Star
that
Trek.
small crew where it's like,
Yeah.
it's anywhere from like 3 to like 6 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the ship is home and it's a little shitty.
Yeah. It's a little shitty,
But
and each person's in their different area.
Oh, that's such a vibe.
Love
That's
it.
Well, that's
so-
what I was going to say. I feel like as well, like some of these ships that we've come across, particularly the big Terran warships and stuff, they're a bit more Star Trek Enterprise-y. They've got like this big, massive sort of semi-utopian setup where people can go to the gym. They can go to these different sort of sections within the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not what you guys get to have.
That's definitely like, I think for me, like visually, one of my favorite like small party ships. I feel like all of my favorite things have to go back to the Expanse
Yeah.
in one way or the other. But like the Rosie is such a great ship. Yes, it is a some of us might not feel like it's a legitimate salvage, but it is. But it's such a cool ship. Like that's one thing. If I could take something for my own spaceship, I would want their medbay seats.
Right. Yeah.
I love the medbay seats. They have these super cool, because I feel like the most exposure I ever got to that kind of a medbay in a spaceship is from Star Trek, right? Like you see it a lot in Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I feel like in Star Trek, it's a hospital.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah.
on the Rosie, it makes it feel like anybody can do it. Anybody can walk in, sit in one of the seats, and see your like current bio situation. Like what are your stats? What's wrong with you? What's happening? And the software like figures it out. And then you put your arm in the thing and it starts fixing you.
That's pretty cool.
And there's a lot of like little tools that are like completely designed for anybody to pop on because they just didn't travel with a medic.
Yeah.
And
Who
it was
needs
cool.
one?
But it was neat because I feel like that wouldn't be how it is for us right now. Like we'd need a doctor.
Well, you got
But
one.
if
So, you know,
Well,
hearts and brains, people. Hearts and brains.
That's fair. That's fair. But they have so many good things like the medbay seats and the juice when they go and they do like a 0G maneuver.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
And the juice kicks into the back of their necks.
Yeah.
Like that was such a cool thing.
Yeah.
I love the interfaces on the ships when you watch the Belters do stuff because
the
they
Belters
have
are so
like their
cool. Yeah.
the Belter language
Yep.
like, in the interface, which is not that groundbreaking of a thing, but it was just cool to see how like all these different people in space, obviously a Creole language evolves.
Yeah.
And then to see it in the interface, because it when you watch the show or like read the book, like it kind of immediately surfaces as like this is just a slang. But it's not. It's their language. And like you see it in the interface. And for me, that's so
the
cool.
fact that it's in the interface really cements
made it
like,
so
this is
real.
how it is now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
No,
of
I
what
love
is
that.
something from ships and sci-fi film that inspires me. I'm just thinking about the engine bays in Mass Effect games, where you'd go back and you'd talk to that girl that
That's a
was
good
really
one.
good at engineering. Their whole species are just migratory and always live in spaceships and just move around on these massive things.
Yeah.
But
That's a
it's
big
that kind
one.
of platform where you're standing and you're looking out over these big engine bay
Yes.
and big
Oh,
blue
yeah.
light
Hell
things
yeah.
moving. The engines are there. You can go and touch them, but this is where we just watch the engines. It's quite cool.
I mean, you've got to be able to have easy access to it. You've got to have space to like get up on a little crane thing and fix
Yeah.
these things,
Yeah.
right?
Star Trek really does have some great ones, though, because Star Trek for me was the first media that I saw that showed you not just like living in a shitty spaceship, but living in a spaceship in like more like a town.
Yeah.
The spaceship is not just a vessel that you live on, it's a thing that you live on that doesn't even feel like a vessel.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think that was the first time
You
I
can
ever
go
saw
from
that.
one place to another place, and like
Yeah, like they're
separate places. And
massive.
there's different people doing different things in these different spaces.
And people have homes in the spaceship that don't look crappy, or they don't look like they're in a spaceship, or
And there's a little bit of that,
And the
I think, with the Grey
holodeck.
Dragon. The fact that you guys each have your own room and stuff, and
Yeah.
there's like a medical bay,
Yeah.
there is the place where you dock all your ships instead of the
civilian
garage.
living, baby. Like they've got plants, they have wall decorations, they have a bar. It's
Yeah, I
just
do
so
think
cool.
actually the Backwater Busters, it is this happy amalgamation of Trek and Wars in some ways.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, there's a lot of things that I like from both. Like, my Star Wars favorite would have to, perhaps in a boring way, I love the X-Wings. It's just like right out of Top Gun, that having
Yeah,
a
little fighter
co-pilot.
plane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dogfighting with a co-pilot, but the co-pilot is a droid, and it's just,
I mean,
it's
that-
such a
that shit
cool,
is
like,
so cool.
symbiosis.
I mean, that little single fighter ship
Yeah.
from the first Star Wars completely changed how we thought of spaceships, right?
Well, I love it, but when it comes to fighters and that kind of horde versus horde, for me, it's Battlestar Galactica. Seeing the bullets being fired from these massive guns, and then the ships fly out, and they're kind of the same size as these bullets. As they're there's just bullets and ships flying towards
Yeah.
bullets and ships.
That's a great spaceship thing, is scale.
Yeah, the scale makes every time I see it, I just wow, that is terrifying.
But also the Naboo cruiser.
Oh, so cool.
I remember when I saw
you
that, when I
reckon?
went to go see episode 1, it was 1999,
Yeah.
and I saw that thing, and I was, hold on.
It's
Oh,
so
I
cool.
think that one annoyed me, actually.
No,
Really?
I thought
What
it was
do
so
you- why?
regal. It was so nice.
I mean, I was 9 years old, so
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that a queen had a spaceship and it looked like that.
It
And
was
then they open up on Coruscant,
Yeah.
which for me was fascinating because I'd only ever seen fucking like desert planet, swamp planet,
Tatooine, yeah.
snow planet.
Yeah.
And now we have this
City
beautiful,
planet.
incredible Coruscant. And it just unfolds, and she's cruising down in the Naboo cruiser. And she's got her costume changes and
Fuck
her
yeah.
ladies, and they just roll up, and she's like 13 years old. And she's like, I'm in the Senate.
Yeah.
Everybody can move. I've got my face paint on and my hair feather.
My lip
and I was just
is
like,
split with lipstick.
and I was 9 years old, and I saw that, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. We
Yeah.
have arrived. It's 1999. The whole world is different now.
Yeah.
Naboo cruiser, shining, silver, on fire.
It's lovely. I
Incredible.
love that ship. I think it's really good. Just
I
the
feel
shininess
like
of it.
in
so
my
cool.
mind, I see it silver, but like, isn't it supposed to be like yellow and red or something?
No, those are the fighter
I can't
ones
remember.
were yellow.
Nah,
and-
that's what it
but
is.
The,
I'm
It's
remembering
like
the
liquid
toy.
metal silver.
But the
you know, like
Queen's-
it's
the
very,
I
Queen's
very
remember the
silver.
liquid metal silver, but there's
Yeah.
a toy that I'm thinking of too.
yeah.
See,
I can't
that's the
remember.
problem I had with it, was like how shiny it was. Because to me, Star Wars design is, you look at a stormtrooper, it's got these blocks of plate, and all the ships work that same way. It's got these plates.
Yeah, but it's a royal
stuck
ship,
together,
though.
and they're all
But it
they're
was
all kind
Naboo,
of matte,
baby.
Naboo,
kind of
they
matte and
rich.
plasticky, and I don't know, I just really like
It
that
was going.
aesthetic.
That was a Rolls Royce. They were going to Coruscant. They weren't
Yeah.
going to the Outer Rim. What are you talking about?
This is true.
I forget who
there was a
the,
queen on board.
I forget what the race of people were called, but it was like in ancient Greek, Roman times. There was one city-state, and they were so rich with like gold and jewels that the regular troops that went to battle were wearing, just really fancy armor and stuff. And that's kind of what Naboo felt like to me, of just,
Yeah.
they're so rich and they're so regal that even just the regular guard or person in the army
Yeah.
is still wearing wealth. That's how
Yeah.
wealthy this place is. And so when you see that Mercury drop that is her
It was such
ship,
a
it's so cool.
ritualistic culture too.
Yeah.
Like the many costume changes and the handmaidens
Mm.
and just the like way that the government functioned there was.
Yeah.
I was fascinated by it as a 9-year-old kid. I remember just being like, holy shit, this is really interesting. And it was so new to me. Like, I'd never seen anything quite like that. And I mean, there was lore like that in Star Wars. We didn't see it. You know, you'd have to be reading books or something. And I wasn't reading that stuff then. Before the age of 10, probably not. But, you know, nah, that was a big one. And I mean, just like aesthetically, what was that? The shuttle in Interstellar? The Ranger. Oh my God, that was a ship.
Yeah, very, very cool.
That thing looked great. Super unusual silhouette. Like,
that's a cool ship.
With like the downward wing kind of, like in the way it
very
animated.
Mass Effect-y as well. And that
yeah, it was. And I remember seeing that and just thinking like, oh, this is super beautiful. And the way it moved was really interesting too. Like, I like ships that articulate in strange ways when they land and take off. Or when there's some sort of movement in the
having these little bits of articulation and just having like these
mechanized
cool unique silhouettes, because it's just this chunk. You kind of teleport through space anyway, so it could be any shape you want it to be.
Totally. And there's so many weird shaped spaceships in media now. Like, you get like a big one actually in Guardians of the Galaxy, the spaceship that they have. Really bizarre silhouette and kind of bird-like. And, you know, Firefly, the Serenity, looks like an animal when you see it. You don't often get to see it from the outside. And actually, that's one I don't like, but...
Hot takes coming in.
The silhouette is super duck-like, I feel. There's like a really animal shape to it that I always thought, like, why are they forcing that so hard? I don't know. But also, ship movement in the Expanse, when you get to see them piloting from the outside, they are kind of puffing to move the ship.
The little spurts of gas, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot like in video games where it's not about linear movement. And I feel like we kind of inherently force that on spaceships and media because we're used to planes.
Well, I mean, that's why your take on Star Wars with the X-Wing being interesting is a more fun way of thinking about space combat, because it's free movement in space type thing. Because once you add in the gas thrusting and trying to make it accurate...
I mean, we did have at one point a big discussion about that when we started looking at little fighter ships. Yeah. And we kind of came to the conclusion that the physics are, if it looks like a plane, it flies like a plane. If it looks like a hovercraft, it flies like a hovercraft.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a strange way to make that distinction, but...
You got to keep it fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got a lot to say about these other ships and other fiction, but I think ultimately... We've taken on a lot of that and have our own little way of doing things. But I think we should take a few listener questions, because I saw a few in there that I think are quite clever, good things. I've very intentionally avoided answering ahead of schedule.
But you do know that means we need to do the little music bit.
It's time for listener questions. It's time for listener questions.
Listener questions.
So we've got a variety of questions. The first one I see on my list here is from Marnix, who's asking, can there be zero-G jacuzzis built into ships? Dr. Z has a jellyfish in a bowl, so he could have something easily accommodated for him, but what about the others? Cleo's a massive bear, so how the whole party needs to relax with a cocktail and a bubble bath while traveling. How is that going to be solved?
I mean, that's just thinking, of the most important things when thinking about space travel, isn't it?
I love the idea of a zero-G jacuzzi. The Grey Dragon has artificial gravity. So if you were to... Cleo literally has an aquarium full of water.
Yeah. Oh my God. I got to check on it.
And if this you were like to when the Tamagotchi becomes too real.
I mean, the dangerous thing, of course, of having a jacuzzi, because even in zero-G, you're still affected. Like, if the ship is shot and is blasting around, that water's going to be flying out and everywhere. So it's, you definitely want to have like a dedicated
maybe it's
wet room
enclosed.
For it. But the actual question, like a zero-G jacuzzi, that's cool. Like, this ball of water, and you sit in it at whatever angle with your head sticking out, like you're sitting at the top, someone else is sitting at the bottom. It would be weird, but it'd be cool.
Can you imagine how easy it could be to drown?
Oh no.
You would just have to swim out of it.
But like, what if now the water can get at you?
What if in the middle there's like a solid sphere of like metal that's got little chairs on it, and you sit on those chairs? and then the
Okay.
water only comes up to like your chest or whatever.
So if someone's sitting on the
alright.
opposite side of the sphere, how do you talk to them?
Well, that is the reason why it's not a good idea.
Okay, there we go. So it's
I was like, I like it, but I don't know. Somebody has to sit upside down.
I think it'd be good if you wanted to be like space efficient for like individual jacuzzis where people didn't have to see one another.
okay. So I'm confused. What's your answer? Yes, and?
Yes, and
Okay, there we go.
or maybe yes, but why?
Okay, nice.
I like it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
We
Thanks,
can work with
Marnix.
that. Okay, so we've actually got quite a few questions this time. What about this one from Jim? Are there names for different classes of ships in OR? And his example is Serenity in Firefly is a Firefly class. What are some of the styles and shapes of ships? And are ships from the different factions easily identifiable just by looking at them?
Ooh.
We've talked a little bit about all these things,
We
but
have.
I don't think we've directly answered any of them.
So classes of ships, yes. There are more than I can state, more than I can count. You got to imagine within this galaxy, everyone that is producing starships has got their own ideas of different classes. One of the only ones that we've really gone into is the Grey Dragon, as a Grey Dragon class ship.
Yeah.
I want to like meet more of them now.
Yeah, I mean, I need to take like really solid notes so I can start like having things be of the same class and show up
We got to
again,
build
like-
the wiki. We got to build the
Yeah.
wiki.
Yeah.
I need pictures as well. But the second part of that question,
That's for you, Marnix. Get going.
styles and shapes of ships and the ships from different factions being identifiable by looking at them 100%. If you think to when we're playing the game, I will often describe something as being a Terran ship, as in your characters know by looking at it as a Terran ship.
Okay, yeah.
What that means is a little bit more up for interpretation, but definitely I have described, for example, the Wraith ships as being these semi-organic looking longer kind of ships. I've described the Terran ships as being winged often, but they've often got orb type shapes on them as well, though. They could be like sort of circular or have wings, or just be like the Grey Dragon, sort of just a big wedge.
Us Terrans like wings.
We do. We've seen birds.
Well, if it flies, it must have
angels.
wings, right?
Oh,
It doesn't
that
need
too.
them. And often the
Demons.
wings, for example, like on the Grey Dragon, the wings aren't really wings. They're just wing-shaped sections to put extra space inside.
Yeah.
We like triangles filled with stuff.
Pyramids.
The synths are all about that geometry. So the synth ships are like, oh, here's a square with a triangle and another square attached to it.
So they
You know,
could be
they're-
referred to as geodudes.
Oh.
I heard that painful bit there, Taylor. Oh.
It hurt. It hurt me. It hurt them too.
Yeah.
Now they have another reason to be mad at us.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are just the military vessels, because ultimately, like when we've been coming across sort of large amounts of these empires' vessels, we're seeing the military ones. There are private companies producing all kinds of ships.
Nice.
If you think like cars in the real world, there's a lot of standardization, but then you get these particular producers who have just their own thing, where it's just like, oh, all of our cars have got like big square fronts because we've got that sort of classic American car kind of.
That's like the
look.
K2 vibe. When you describe K2 had some ships, right? K2 had like the blocky ships, as well as K2's sensibilities with weapons and armor.
That's true.
So I would say, if you can imagine it, it's got to be out there. And we've definitely had a big variety of ships, and a
Yeah.
lot of like very ambiguously described ships as well, because I mean, I know that a lot of these, if they come back multiple times, someone's going to draw them one day, and I'm going to be like, oh, headcanon changed.
Vaparis asks, I'll be the party pooper and poke at the two biggest downers in space travel. How does Dick imagine FTL and artificial gravity work? Sci-fi hand waving is fine. I just watch a lot of space science documentaries that pour cold water on all this cool sci-fi stories we love.
So FTL, faster than light travel, and artificial gravity. Yeah, these are the two things when you look at sci-fi media just aren't possible in the real
Yeah.
world. And I mean, I'm going to have to say there's a bit of sci-fi hand waving involved here.
What?
What?
Dickie, please no. You can't be saying that you're just using blue magic.
So artificial gravity, it works because it works. There is a there is an artificial gravity generator in the ship, and if it is switched on, then you get pulled down towards the bottom section of the ship.
Makes sense.
Not all ships necessarily have them, but generally they do, because most species feel comfortable, much more comfortable in a gravity environment.
Yeah.
In terms of faster than light, we've covered this a little bit with warp engines. How exactly they work? Well, they are generating a tremendous amount of energy, and then they are finding that opening to a wormhole, and then they're zipping between these little tears in space
Oh.
to get to where they're going. So what the warp generator is doing primarily, it's not about opening the wormhole, which anyone that can generate those particular frequencies could do that.
Yeah.
It's actually about calculating what wormholes to jump through in order to get where you want to go. And it's generally like a safe way of traveling, but it's not the sort of thing you can jump into in the middle of combat, because if you get shot while you're going through it, that could throw things off very,
Are you saying
very badly.
that you couldn't pull off the old Star Wars, I forget which movie, it's from one of the newest ones, right? The
Last Jedi.
blast through a ship.
You could, if you just calculate how to get into the center of that ship, but it would kill you,
Yeah, okay. Death.
Gross.
Gross. Gross. Can you imagine being Death in The Sims, approaching Tay, and you're just like, gross.
But also, that's my my sci-fi hand wavy explanation of why you can't just escape
very
any
hand
danger
wavy. Very hand wavy.
by going faster than light and vanishing. You can't just do that, because if you do it, they will just spend one energy to take a shot at you and screw up your day.
Okay, day ruined.
Well, I hate
You
that.
might get chopped in half. You might get chopped into 100 pieces. You might just get sent somewhere you didn't intend to go. But certainly, it's not going to go the way you hoped.
Lovely.
Wow.
Cool. Sounds
Let me
good.
write that down for later.
Yeah. Don't run away from anything that Dick planned.
Marnix had another question here. Can I design one?
Bloody heck yes, Marnix.
I would say so.
I think the long and short answer is hell yeah.
Yeah.
Get going, son.
You've heard it. I know, that'd be fucking awesome. We love any fan art and all fan art that we receive. And if you have ever made anything for us, or with us in mind, backwaterbastards@gmail.com, send it over. Or come join the Discord. You see it on the website. And we will look at it with our eyes and tell you all of the things we think about it.
Woo.
Love it.
Love it.
Another question.
Ooh, there's another one from Marnix here. How much of a ship can be damaged and still be flyable?
Oh.
That's a good question. That's an important one. And there's two different answers for this. There's the roleplay answer and there's the system answer.
Mm-hmm. So
So in terms of the rules of the game we're playing, a ship is still flyable until it hits 0 wounds.
Okay.
So much like a player, the player stays conscious and able to do all their abilities until they drop below that last hit point. It's the same thing with these ships. But from a roleplay perspective, or even just like a strategic combat perspective, if you take out, you specifically target a certain part of the ship, like if you take out its thrusters, it can't move properly.
That's fair.
That's like a pirate ship using grape shot and targeting the sails.
Exactly. There's you can damage a specific part of the ship and make it unflyable. But if we're just like talking like you're just shooting at this thing and damaging its armor and just trying to blow holes through it, and you're shooting at all sorts of places and doing damage, that amount of wounds literally translates into this is how much damage this ship can take before it is inoperable.
Okay.
Well, I hope we don't need to figure that out in our ship. I hope we will experience that with someone else's ship that
I feel
we're
like it's
shooting at.
amazing that we haven't already learned the answer to this.
There have been situations where the ship was taking catastrophic damage and could have
that's
thanks
true.
to us
deal with that
being
problem.
very good players, we've saved us from those situations.
God.
I think we've got time for one more.
Is the Jim one?
Yeah.
Okay. Jim asks, since credit/weapon ammo material is versatile, can it also be used as ship fuel? Is it extra potent and maybe acts like nitrous in a car? And for living ships, how would this work? Are they able to move through space without fuel, or do you have to feed them foods that make them gassy?
He had to go and make the fart joke.
Yeah,
at the
he
end,
had to
didn't
make
he?
a fart joke. Thank you, Jim.
So we sort of covered this a little bit. Credits, weapon ammo, and ship fuel are indeed all the same thing. But if you were to just use unrefined star sand, so literally credits, I mean, yeah, it might act a bit like nitrous in a car, but more likely it's going to act like really cheap, dirty petrol that's not necessarily good for the engine, but will get the job done.
Okay, yeah.
It is, less reliable. You don't really know like what the energy content of it is if it hasn't been filtered and homogenized and turned into this usable fuel.
Mm-hmm.
You just really don't know if it's going to be like weaker than normal, more explosive than normal. It could do a lot of things.
This is a lot like when you have like paracetamol and it expires and it's just like, what will happen?
Oh, so I was like,
Yeah, exactly.
I
We
was
don't
asking
know.
what would happen before you even finished that sentence. Like, what's going to happen?
I don't know either. Because if you Google it, this is like any like stupid like medicine cabinet, like headache, like whatever you have,
They don't want to
paracetamol
tell you
or
what will happen.
ibuprofen or
yeah.
whatever. They make a big deal out of the expiration date and you go on the internet and you Google like what, because you have old ones, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, well, these, I don't want to throw them away. Like, can I still take these? And the internet just goes, well, maybe. And that's
I've never looked at the expiry date on drugs.
I
just
actually
take them.
haven't either.
Well, I mean, you have this stuff, and then you Google, like, okay, well, these are super expired, like 2017
Yeah.
kind of business here. And the internet's like, maybe they'll work less good.
Thanks,
I think
And
internet.
it's like,
reason.
are you sure? Is that what you're trying to say? Like, is there another option here? What if it melts a hole through your intestines?
Damn.
I think if there was a possibility of that, they would warn you way more thoroughly.
How
or
about
they
that?
wouldn't because it's bad. It's
They
bad
don't wanna
press.
talk about
They
it.
don't want
It's
to talk
awkward.
about it.
They actually they want you to be more sick because then they can sell more
Exactly,
drugs.
There you go, big drugs.
Exactly. And so this is the
that's a
same
conspiracy
thing.
theory.
If you use unrefined star sand in your ship,
It might burn a
Well-
hole through your stomach.
probably that. Exactly.
Mm.
So
And the question about living ships, how do they work? I mean, this is going to depend from ship to ship, but they need to eat, yeah. They've got to consume an immense amount of energy to be able to travel through space, particularly the kinds of ships like the Seed, which are actually capable of traversing the warp gates that can actually travel faster than light and are potentially, if we get into this, in the ancient history of the Wraiths, the inspiration behind starships in the first place.
Are you actually doing a dick magic moment in a lore dive where you just leave a little hint of something else for another lore dive?
Oh, not just
Unethical.
even in a lore dive. This isn't a listener question.
Damn.
But they don't project themselves through space by expelling gas, no.
Okay.
Maybe there are some kinds that do, but no kinds that I've encountered yet. They travel much more with telekinesis.
Ooh.
Oh, I feel like we talked about this and now I'm like remembering and I'm forgetting more than we've ever known.
I mean,
The more you learn, the less you know.
Exactly.
I've forgotten almost half as much as I've created,
Well, maybe we shouldn't have you saying that, Dickie.
but I've created 10 times as much as I've remembered.
Well, okay, saved it.
Well, dang.
I like less than half of you, half as
I was
much
waiting
as
for
you
that.
deserve.
I was waiting for the Hobbit moment. Okay. Well,
But
that's
that's
it.
our
What we
list of
learned.
questions. And what did we learn?
No gas.
Guys, starships, you know a bit more now.
We know more. Definitely know more. I mean, I'm excited to see a gas station is the main
Yeah.
thing. Because I want to
Oh my God, I'm
yeah.
so excited about seeing a gas station.
Oh, a fueling station.
fueling station. Sorry.
And I kind of want to get into like some ship to ship combat one day.
yeah, now I definitely want to do that.
I want to upgrade Reese a little bit.
Well,
Like
take
I want
Reese
to think
shopping.
I want to think about like what mods we have on Reese and
Yeah.
like how
Are we
to
talking about like
how to level
mods like
Reese.
Yeah.
for the exterior, like for Reese's capabilities, or like mods for the interior in terms of extra facilities for the people on board?
I was thinking of the extra capabilities for the outside so that Reese can be safer and more dangerous so that we can participate in ship to ship
I
combat.
like that. I like that a lot.
Because we have a lot of cool stuff on the inside, you know, and we also have the lair. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't really feel like the inside of Reese is lacking. Like we have these great homes in there
We
with our
could get
aquariums and our
Reese some
stuff.
new modules, and then for ourselves, we could
Exactly.
get a few bean bags. You know?
We got to get Reese some new mods. We got to train up those skills.
I mean, you
Yeah.
could get like a med chair. That's that's something that
Well,
I mean, it probably
For the
wouldn't be
inside.
stupid for us to get a med chair, but
bean bags.
I'm-
Med bean bag?
right,
Maybe.
beanbags. Whoa. What if it was
modify a
like,
med
You
chair
lie
into a
back
med
in a
bean
bean
bag.
bag, and then it just injects you in from the bean bag. Could
I
be
don't know,
terrifying,
man.
actually. That
I
could be
love
too
a
scary.
beanbag.
I love a bean bag.
love a beanbag?
I mean, imagine what Trevor's flying could do with a stealth generator.
I can't. Because
Well, I'm
we
sure
wouldn't
you'd
see
find
it.
some way to ruin it for us, Dickie, and be like,
Oh God! Imagine a stealth generator and the butter knife.
exactly.
Not only would we
horrifying.
be dangerous, but you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, you just see the shimmering like artifact outside the window. You're like, what is that like weird lightning coming towards us? Just like
Dick that's going to be mysteriously too expensive for you to
Horrifying,
afford.
So I'm not necessarily looking forward to that part. But I'm definitely looking forward to the refueling station
Me
stuff. We
too.
That's what I want. Also, I kind of want to have some kind of experience with unrefined star sand. I don't know.
Just
I'm
to try it out.
disinterested. Just to try it out.
just try it out.
I mean,
See
you
what it does.
guys did play a little bit with it, throwing it into the air to block a sniper beam.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just in the last episode.
Well.
But we didn't put it in a car.
Yeah.
No.
It's like putting a can of peanut butter into the microwave. What's going to happen? And you got a
Oh, I
little
have
bit of
no
foil
idea.
left on the can?
I might have to go
Explosion.
try that because, like,
Well-
I don't know, hot peanut butter sounds good to me.
I do it all the time. But you got to make sure you peel all the foil off of the
I was
can
about to say, yeah.
because that's the part that makes it unrefined. Okay? But I put the peanut butter in the microwave every day. That's my treat right now.
Hot peanut butter.
Hot peanut butter. First of all,
She
watch
put some
out.
rolls in her mouth. She put
I'm
some
learning something
rolls in her
today.
mouth.
You got to be careful with the hot peanut butter though because it becomes molten.
Yeah, it's like,
Always blow on the pie.
But then it like
Magma.
drippy. It's such a luxury. It's way
I
more
mean,
luxurious.
I'll do like a, you get a panini press and put like peanut butter and banana and shit.
that's a
and,
lot
like,
of
dark
work.
chocolate.
It's a lot of work.
And then you got like
You don't
the
have to
sort of
do
the
any of that.
Elvis sandwich.
You guys are pretty gourmet out here.
gourmet.
Yeah.
Well, you're not allowed to have peanut butter.
No.
Anyway, this talk of food is getting me hungry.
Wow.
So,
Bye.
tapping on the watch, guys. We're going to wrap up this
We're
episode.
going to wrap this up, and then I think next time we'll be joining you in your air holes. We'll be doing the origin.
Oh my God. And hey, if you enjoyed those moments of us getting a little bit lost in our own love of sci-fi ships and slightly off-topic
What
moments.
that ship do?
Oh, we got an additional show where it's just us doing stuff like that.
Just chat.
called-
Yeah, we do.
It's called Sidearm. You can get it by becoming a patron on Patreon. So if you are feeling like you got the credits to spare, check it out, and you can hear some more of us in your ear holes.
It's in the show notes.
Woo!
Well, I hope you enjoyed that Lore Dive. If you've got any questions about other topics that we have not yet covered in Lore Dive, or maybe topics that need a bigger, more in-depth visit, feel free to ask us your questions on social media, on the emails, or pop into our Discord and just ask us there in person, and we might get round to answering your questions. But until then, I'm going to go microwave some peanut butter. So bye.
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 Tune in next time for another edge of your seat adventure in space with the Backwater Bastards.
If you enjoy listening, but also have eyes, check out our Instagram, where we post drawings, illustrations, character art from our adventures. Backwater_bastards. Check out our Instagram on Instagram.
Right. I'm not going to fly anymore. I think maybe Taylor, you can take the steering wheel because I hit way too many asteroids on the way here to the refueling station.
I don't have a license. That's probably fine, right?
But hitting the asteroids or letting you fly?
Oh, probably neither.
All right, I'm gonna
Too late.
I'm gonna put my seatbelt on.
You should.
Click.
What's this button do?
No. Hyperspace, like
Perfection.
I mean, that just.
I've never seen
it's
this
the,
before.
Space balls. What's it called? The hypersonic speed.
Yeah.
Hyperspeed. All right, I'm gonna save my file.
Warp. We did it. We did
What
it.
about the infinite improbability engine? That was a cool spaceship idea.